I'm Jerry Ford from Attic Treasures and So Easy Sewing in Occoquan, Virginia, and welcome to this month's edition of our Sew Creative Club. This month's topic is Madeira Applique, and we're going to be making these lovely towels here. So we're going to learn how to do this scallop border, which is traditionally part of Madeira Applique. And here's here's an example of it without the embroidery. And here's a different one, which is slightly different, take a little more scallop than the last one. Okay, Madeira Applique has been around for about 150 years, and it originated on the island of Madeira, which is off the coast of North Africa in the Atlantic Ocean, and is actually an autonomous region of the country of Portugal. And it actually is more than just these scallop borders. Madeira Applique also includes cut work and pulled thread and three-dimensional embroidery, which is probably known today as either stump work or Brazilian embroidery. It's absolutely lovely. I'm Portuguese descendant myself, and my family comes from the island of San Miguel and the Azores, which is also in the North Atlantic. So let's get started. Okay, you're going to need a few things to create this Madeira Applique edge dish towel. So first of all, you need to start with the dish towel, and I got one already pre-made. It's usually hemmed on both sides, so I just simply cut this side off so I have a straight edge. No bulk there, just a single layer of fabric. You're going to need a fabric to make your Madeira scallops on, and you're going to cut that about 1 inch longer than the width of your towel by about 5 inches. Okay, for other things you're going to need is a ruler, a circle template or a scallop maker, some paper to draw your template, pencil, a ruler here, and some white thread to sew your applique onto your towel once your Madeira, the scallops are finished. You're also going to need, this is the most important thing here, you're going to need some wash away thread. This is Vanish Extra by Superior Threads, and you're going to need to have it in your needle as well as wind a bobbin with the same thread. On the strips of fabric for your scallops, what you have to do is press it over about 1/2 inch on each side, and you want to make sure that this is exactly long enough to go from edge to edge of your towel. Okay, so now the first thing we need to do is to make a template. So I'm going to fold my towel in half, and just take a piece of paper and mark it. Mark each end. So I'm just going to mark it here and here. And I'm going to draw a box, which is, line it up with the width. And across the bottom. And I'm going to measure this up 5 inches. Sorry for the neighbors cutting grass outside. I swear they can tell when I'm filming. Okay, now that I've drawn the box, I'm going to draw another line about 1/4 inch from the top of the box. I want my scallops to be about 2.5 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure right here every 2.5 inches and just make a mark. There's 2.5. Okay, this doesn't give me a whole scallop on this side, so actually I'm going to come and make another mark 1.5 inches from, this is the fold of the fabric. So I'm going to come in about 1.5 inches instead and make a mark here. I want to make another mark on either side, 3/4 inch down. And mark here. And now that I've made that 1.5 inch mark here, I want to make these 2.5 inches apart over here again. In other words, I want to make a mark every 1.5 inches. So this is going to be 1/2 of a scallop, so I'm going to take this circle, and it's about a 2.5, 3 inch circle. You could use teacups, spools of thread, whatever you need to make the arc. You could also get a scallop making tool. I don't have one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this circle, put it in between, and draw my scallops in. So I should end up on the end with a full scallop and 1/2 in the middle. Because remember, that's on the folds. It'll turn out to be a hole. And if it doesn't quite meet, you just sort of make it. Okay? And I'm going to cut this out because this is going to be my template that I'm going to use to mark my stitching line. So I'm just going to take some paper scissors and cut that out. I'm going to lay my template over top of it, and I want to leave about 1/4 inch at the top. Just line that up, because this is going to be my sewing line. So I'm going to just draw them in. Okay, now I'm ready to go to the machine and sew these lines. I'll just put a couple pins here. Okay, and now I'm going to go to the machine. Okay, now I have threaded my machine with the wash away thread. Okay, now wash away thread has a tendency to break fairly easily, but it will help if you lower your tension quite a bit on both the bobbin and the needle, and use a relatively short stitch length. And notice here that I have folded those ends in, so I'm going to sew over those folds. No need to back tack, because we're going to be washing this away after all. Doesn't need to stay. And I'm going to stitch right on the line. If you have to pivot a little bit, go ahead. Sometimes it helps to pivot. And I'm going to take some sharp scissors, and I'm going to trim this down to a little less than 1/4 inch. Go across the tips because I want to reduce the bulk. Actually, I want to try these scissors, might work a little better. Yep, they are. Go across. Okay, and now what you want to do is clip these curves just like you are with regular garment sewing. Don't worry, that's a little puckered, it's going to press out. I want to clip right up to the line, but do not clip your stitching. You want those clips about, oh, maybe 3/8 of an inch apart. And next we will go to the ironing board and start pressing this out. Okay, now we're at the ironing board. I've set my iron to a medium hot, or maybe a cotton setting. And so what I want to do is first press it flat with a dry iron. Press it flat. Now I'm going to use a point turner in order to turn it. We're going to turn it just like it's a collar. Okay, whenever you have a point, it helps to fold the point, put your thumb inside, fold the point, and turn it. And now you can use your point turner. I like to use a bamboo skewer. And now you've got a nice, now you have a nice sharp point. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other ones. I'm going to go fold it, fold both sides over, grab it and turn it, and I'll just do this one too. Grab it. That gets you 90% of the fold already there. Okay. And use the bamboo skewer to push out the points. Okay, now I'm going to press this flat first with the dry iron. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to spray it with some spray starch. Both sides, let it get wet. And then just be very gentle with this iron and press it. Keep pressing it flat. You have plenty of starch in there. I'll do that several times. Okay. We'll know if it's ready to come out because it'll just come out open. Nope, not yet. Okay, here comes the water. So I have my spritz bottle. And I'm really put out a lot of steam. Here we go. Okay. Don't force any of these if they don't want to release. Just spritz it again. And press it dry. It's the steam that is going to get rid of the wash away thread. There we go. Yay, there we go. Oops, I need to do one more little clip here. That did not release. Forgot that one. Okay. Just give that a little press. I will probably tuck in this corner because it is showing to press it again. And see, it's going to stay. Same thing here. I'm going to tuck this in, press it down. So you have nice tight points. Okay. Now we're ready to go back to the sewing machine. See, now we've got our Madeira Applique ready to go. Okay, now I've got the scallops pressed. If you place the right side of the towel facing up and the right side of the strip facing up, but put it underneath because you want the right side of the scallop facing the wrong side of the towel. And I'm just going to pin it in place, then sew it 1/4 of an inch. Okay, I have pinned this fairly close together because this is very ravelly, very stretchy type of linen. So I used a lot of pins. You don't necessarily have to. And now I'm going to sew this 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and I'm going to back tack along each side at each end. And also, remember, you want to fold that tab, this side hem in, and then back tack, and now it's back to the ironing board. Okay, I'm back at the ironing board, and I'm going to first press it flat to set my stitches. After I pressed it flat, I'm going to press it towards one side, and I'm going to press it in towards the white, in towards the dish towel. That will make it a little easier to turn. And now press this edge nice and right along that edge. Beautiful. Okay. Favorite stuff in the whole world is Elmer's school glue. I know this is the Roxanne glue and based it. However, there's no more Roxanne glue in there because I have used it up, and I've just replaced it with ordinary Elmer's washable school glue. I'm going to use this glue. I'm first going to use just a small bead of it. This edge to seal in that edge. So that essentially glues it down. When you hit it with an iron, it stays. You won't have to use a lot of pins. I'm doing the same thing on the other side. I'll set the two sides first. Okay. Okay, and I'm just going to run a bead of glue underneath of these scallops. You don't need much, just a little bit. Heat set them down and see they don't come out. Wonderful. Okay, it is all glued and pressed down, and look how lovely. It's nice and stuck. I'm ready to go to the sewing machine and tack this down, and then this towel will be finished. Okay, I have threaded my machine with a color to match either embroidery thread or regular thread to match the yellow on the scalloped applique. Okay, so now I'm going to select a pin stitch, which is actually this one right here, and I want to set this back to cancel. I want to set this stitch length back so that they're about even. 1.5 stitches, 1.5 millimeters stitch length and 1.5 millimeters width. And I'm going to run a test stitch. And I want to make sure, yep, that's about how I want it to look. See, it is a very, very tiny stitch. Okay, in fact, I think I want that a little smaller, a little shorter. Okay, I have set the pin stitch up to a 1.4 millimeter length and a 1.5 millimeter width, and I've switched to the open toe foot on my machine because I really could not see what was going on. Okay, I want the right edge of that stitch to just catch the dish towel. And then I'm going to sew. So that it just sews off the edge and just that little bite catches the yellow fabric. And take your time. You may have to pivot if you need to. You may have to stop and pivot if you need to. Because I'm going to take a stitch or two. I'll pivot again to get around those points. There we go. And last but not least, I want to switch to a straight stitch. Okay, and just go right down the middle and top stitch. Oops. Top stitch this edge into place. Come back to this first side. Actually, that foot will, the regular standard foot will work better for that straight stitch, especially when you're coming off the edge like that. Tack. And back tack, and done. And you will see how close that stitching is. You really cannot see it. So it looks virtually invisible. Now you could come back and put whatever embroidery you like on here, or further put more stitches. If you like, you can also top stitch along the bottom edge. Or you can put a decorative stitch as well. I'm just going to top stitch. Clip all my threads and I'm done. There you have it, a beautifully finished Madeira Applique scalloped edge. So if you have any questions, give us a call at Attic Treasures and Sew Easy Sewing in Occoquan, Virginia at 703-490-1536. Hope to see you next month for our Sew Creative Club.